All right, how's it going, everyone? So today we have a special interview with Kuzzat Altay, and he is the CEO of CYDEO, which is a online boot camp. And he has a couple of stories he wants to share today about how he got into tech and how he became the CEO of his company. I think it'd be really interesting for us all to hear his story from another software engineer working in the industry. So welcome, Kuzzat. You want to go ahead and explain? I hear that you have a boot camp with over 10,000 alumni in 34 different countries. I guess the first question is, how did you end up building this boot camp? And I guess explain a little bit about your refugee story. I think that'd be interesting to hear about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cody. Thanks for having me in your channel. A little bit about myself. I was born in China, but I'm not Chinese. There are lots of different ethnicity in China, and many people, when you say China, they think about TikTok or like Huawei or a strong economy, greatest economy in the world. But there's lots of human rights issues in China. So I'm one of the Turkic minority, where China calls Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, and where we call East Turkestan because it was a Turkish land from thousands of years ago. In 1949, the land was occupied by Chinese Liberation Army. So I was born in there in 80th and grew up in communism. It was difficult. It was a very tough childhood under communism. So my family was very well-known family in China, a very wealthy family. And in 1990s, they cracked down, the Chinese Communist Party, to our family, seized our assets. So that was a difficult time in my life. In 2003, I got into a medical college in Urumqi in China. So after the first year, I got arrested by Chinese intelligence. They were threatening to kill me, right? So that nothing wrong. The biggest mistake was I was born in a family that wanted to speak up against Chinese regimes, persecution against Uyghur people in China. So that's all my affiliation with politics, nothing else. So I realized I need to escape. So when I was 21, I was able to escape China. I went to Turkey and stayed 2 years in Turkey. I was doing a Chinese-Turkish translation job. It was fun, Istanbul was fun, one of the most beautiful city. And then I had my aunt, she was in the United States. She said, Kuzzat, come to US. She's a politician, by the way. She said, come to the United States. I was like, why? I have wonderful life in America. I'm in Turkey, right? So the food is amazing, all this stuff. I was making lots of money doing translation. And she said, Kuzzat, why did you get kicked out from college? I said, because of you, auntie, because you're a political person, because I'm affiliated to you. She said, yes, that's why I'm going to send you to Harvard. If you come to US, you're going to go to Harvard.
Nice.
So I was like, that's awesome. How do I come? She said, you apply to United Nations Refugee Committee and you become refugee and then you come. And that process took around 2 years, right? So in 2008, I came to the United States as refugee with my wife and a 10-month-old baby. At that time in 2008, I remember it was July 29th, 2008 in JFK Airport. It was so cold. In my life, I've never seen that much AC in my life. I was like, American people love AC. So my English vocabulary at that time was like literally, what's your name? Maybe I know the color green or yellow, things like that. That's basically very, very basic vocabularies. So then from JFK, I came to Fairfax, Virginia, because my relatives were in Virginia, right? And Fairfax County Family Services, since I was a refugee, they took me in and gave me food stamp, EBT. It's a card that you can purchase food from the market for low-income individuals. And they sent me to Fairfax County Adult Community Public School to learn English. So I started from like a high beginning class, means that yes, no, what's your name kind of level of English. So from there, I've learned English. I didn't have a college degree. That's why I think I had to work on all these odd jobs. My first job was a dishwasher in a restaurant. I was very happy for that job, making like $7.25 an hour. From there, literally, I in one side I have to survive in US, making minimum wage. Another side I have to learn English, learn the culture, learn the environment, everything from scratch. So the life was for the first 4 years, probably was the most difficult time of my life. I was living in somebody else's basement, and me and my wife, like a basement, it was literally one room, and we had to put the IKEA curtain in between. And one side, my kids were staying back then. I had two kids, and another side, me and my wife. My number one goal in life was waking up in the morning. People have aspiration, right? People have dream, right? When you wake up in the morning, you think about your dream. My number one thing that I think about was, how do I pay my rent? Like, you cannot think beyond paying your bills if you're desperate in life. So I worked in dishwasher, I worked as butcher, I worked as a grocery store clerk, I worked as a waiter, I sold cars. And one time I remember I heard that Harris Teeter have a good insurance while I was working in a grocery store. So I went to apply, right? I don't know if this is a requirement. The manager asked me, do you have a college degree? I feel so humiliated because I didn't have it. It was not my fault, right? I got arrested when I was in medical college in China. So I felt so heartbroken and always felt like something is wrong with me, right? And no self-esteem. And my last job before IT was package delivery for Amazon. It was a contracting firm with Amazon called LaserShip. So they have a huge warehouse. I had to bring my own car. So I deliver packages, and they paid me like a dollar per package. So I would go there every morning, 4 a.m., get my large pallet. If you buy Amazon stuff, probably I was the one in the Leesburg bringing your stuff. So it was 2011, right? So difficult life, not able to pay my rent, feeling like a loser, and not able to, like, my wife, she married me, kind of left very wealthy family in our region back home. So I felt really bad for my wife as well, right? I couldn't provide a good life for her because she followed me to come to the United States. So difficult life. So I was one day sorting my package, like, because one of my colleague, he was also sorting his package. He was like, "Hey, I'm learning coding." I look at him. I was like, "Of course you're learning coding. You're working on your master's degree, and you speak better English. Of course, So that was the thing, right? I never thought that coding could be my thing because I have zero experience in coding and zero experience in IT. All I did in the United States without college degree, I did all this odd jobs. Like, who are you? You didn't go to MIT, you didn't go to Virginia Tech. How you're supposed to get into IT? So that was my imagination of IT. Was a very difficult place that only people, have solid, background can get into. So after a month or so, the same guy was like, "Hey, do you know, like, this guy who was one of our guy in the community? He just got a job for $90,000 in San Diego." I looked at him. I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah." Because the reason that I know that guy in our community was there's a place called McLean in Virginia, a very high income neighborhood. And he was delivering pizza in McLean, getting lots of tips. So it was one of my dream job to get into that pizza shop. So that's why I know the guy. So he was delivering pizza, right? I was like, yeah, oh, okay. Then I kind of think maybe this is possible. So I had this internal conversation with myself. And also I talked to my wife that night. The conversation I had is this, right? Like, literally, because see, difficult life, it kills your self-esteem. You just, like, if somebody come to me in 2011 and say, "Kuzzat, you're a loser," I was like, of course I'm a loser, right? That's the feeling that I have. And I was thinking, okay, that guy is smarter. I am stupid. That guy has master's degree. I have high school diploma. Okay. I was like, that guy has better English. My English is broken. So maybe it took him, like, I heard that he kind of changed his life in 6 months. Maybe for me, it's going to take 12 months or 18 months. Like, what option I have? If I go to college, I have to spend another 4 years, right? Since I'm already a loser, there's nothing more to lose. Let me start learning coding. So I was like, so I started learning coding in 2011. So I think it was, I started like 7 a.m. in the morning until like 10 p.m. At night. So every single day, 10, 12 hours of learning coding. And, back then, Agile Scrum methodology was one of the big things. People were moving to Scrum. If you know waterfall or Scrum, things like that, it was a big deal too. In Amazon, I ordered probably every single book that I could order. I would read those books and memorize it. Also visualize it, like me working in an IT environment. So fast forward 6-7 months, I put my resume in the market and applying for a job. Literally every single phone call I took, people put me on a face-to-face like interview. And there's one particular company that I had a face-to-face interview in Bowie, Maryland. I was in Fairfax Library. There's a Panera there for free Wi-Fi, free office, right? I get chocolate croissant and coffee, sitting in there like applying for more jobs, right? I get this phone call from recruiter, from the company recruiter, and she's like, "Kuzzat, I have a news for you." I hold my breath, right? So she said, "I have a news for you. First of all, we would like to know if you want to join our team." I was like, "Of course, I want to join your team, right?" And she's like, "Okay, and this is good news. We are thinking to offer you $93,000 with full benefit, like healthcare benefit, and 15 days vacation, right?" Never in my life I had benefit in the United States. My second son has asthma, and every single time when he has asthma attack, I was so scared to go to the doctor because we didn't have benefit. I didn't have money, so I'm scared of medical bills. I was like, benefit, they give you benefit, right? So it's crazy. So $93,000 that year, I was making 28,000, and because I was learning coding, I didn't have time to work, so I'm literally broke, right? So I was so scared to say yes immediately because I was feared that, like, I was worried that if I say yes immediately, they would think I'm desperate and pull back the offer, right? I was scared, and I hold my breath. And I give myself a 2 second, and then I went back. I said, it is not about money at all. The salary is okay, but more than that, I really like the people who interviewed me. I think they will be great colleagues. I think I'll be kind of working on a little bit more soft skill side, I guess. And she was so happy with my answer. She sent me the package, and I changed my life. And it was, I think it was like September 2012. I started working in IT. I think I tripled my salary in a few months. Just imagine a freaking immigrant, a refugee, broken English, high school diploma, never coded in his life. And in 7 months with dedication, and now from this difficult life, you're kind of middle class in the United States. If that's American dream, it is American dream, right? So for the first 3 months, because of the trauma that I had, like PTSD that I had from the difficult life, I always thought I was going to get fired because everybody else has like most people working in IT, they have college degree. And I just felt like I came from this unconventional background. So am I going to make it? Because this is unbelievable, right? Like people go to college and many of them, they don't have jobs. Like me, like with this broken English and high school diploma, I started working with 93,000 in this beautiful building that I used to dream to probably being a security guard, or I don't know, like a cleaning person in the building. Now you're working in that same building that you used to look up to, like fancy glass buildings. So that's why I went to work at 7 a.m. in the morning when nobody's there. People in IT, they're spoiled. They come to work at 10 o'clock and they have small coffee talk in the kitchen. Nobody started. I feel like nobody started working until 10:30 or 11. By 12, they go to lunch. I mean, people working IT, you guys know, it's not like you working 40 hours now, 40 hours per week. If somebody says I work 40 hours per week, I would say, unless you work for Elon Musk, is bullshit. But the thing is, people were like a little bit spoiled in there. So I went there at 7 a.m. in the morning, started coding, started learning as much as I could. But 10 a.m., like done most of my task finished, right? But I was always worried, maybe today is my last day. I don't know. It's just like my psychological problem. One day, my manager, Pete, I was on my cubicle. He tapped my shoulder. I looked at him, said, "Kuzzat, come with me." I was like, man, this is the day. Today is the last day, okay? How I'm going to talk to my wife? I screwed up this one too. What I'm going to say to her? So I went to his office, and he says, "Have a seat." Oh, I said, and it was like a 2-page paper. He's just like pushed it on me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a look and sign. Probably this is my letter to just leave the company or something. And he says, 3 months performance evaluation, I think 90 days, 4%, approximately 4% increase in salary, and a $2,000 bonus by Friday. I was like crazy. Like $2,000, I have to work for like 15, 20 days when it used to, like when I was working labor, like for free. It is just mind blowing. 2,000 is a lot of money, right? And that time. So that day, I thought I made it in IT, right? Then I start paying attention. After a few months, I became one of the top team member in that project. And most of my colleagues were a computer science background. So that time I realized one thing. I said, okay, I've been this difficult journey, very difficult life. My number one goal was paying my rent. I didn't have money to take my son to hospital when he was having an asthma attack. I still didn't buy a wedding ring to my wife, right? And all this difficult thing. If I could made it, maybe like there are other people like me, they can do it, right? So I just realized one thing at that time is this. People working in IT through conventional, like a higher education, they learned computer science. I think they're amazing people, but that they're not smarter than people working in 7-Eleven, or I would say people working in 7-Eleven, working in DoorDash, driving Uber, gig economy, things like that, right? They're not less intelligent. I think it's all about supply and demand. People working in IT, their parents, somehow they made a good decision to get into the computer science, and that's why there's lots of demand. Lots of demand means your pay rate goes up. It means that there lots of people want to hire you, right? But if there's low demand, nobody wants to hire you. Therefore, there are lots of people in there, so your pay rate goes down. That's why, that's what happened with driving Uber. You make less and less money. So at that time, I realized, okay, these people are not because they're incompetent. They're in the wrong place. They're working hard in the wrong place. Let me be bridge, right? Back then, it was not at all a business for me. It was a cause for me. So I started, like, if I see somebody who's really, really nice working in the restaurant, I would literally spend 15 minutes to explain why she can do it because of her attitude, her soft skills. She's memorizing all this freaking crazy menus. Like, of course you can do JavaScript if you can memorize this menu. One day I went to a restaurant. This lady, they took all the orders. Like, I was like, aren't you going to write it down? She said, no, I got it. Not a single order was like wrong, right? I was like, how come she cannot learn coding, right? So that's why I was like teaching people. And back then it was like kind of community service for refugees like me or immigrants like me. I was just teaching in the library over the weekend, things like that. So I started working on a couple companies like CGI, Accenture, Fannie Mae, and meanwhile gaining experience, I was thinking about starting different businesses, right? And at some point I was researching a hot dog business, literally while working IT. Maybe I can have hot dogs done, hire someone, crazy stuff. Never thought this was a business. But in 2015, I got so many phone calls, like every day. People were asking me questions. How do I get into IT? Things like that. And I would drive like 45 minutes after work. So people were calling me. And one of the guy, he said, Kuzzat, I'm sorry, but last time I called you, I recorded our conversation. That time there were no AI, I guess. He was typing out our conversation and interview questions. He said, I memorized it. I passed interview. They're giving me offer. And that time I thought, okay, maybe this is an idea as a business. Instead of changing one person at a time, we can change as a batch, right? Like of people, like lots of people at the same time. So me and my co-founder, that I met him in Fannie Mae, we rented a construction, company's office for like weekends and evenings because it was cheap. He was not using in the weekends, so he was like, "This is a good deal, I can get some extra rent." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I rented his office for the weekends. Started coding bootcamp in 2015. It was August, and I was pitching people, and I put a couple posts on Facebook. People start calling me, Kuzzat, we want to learn coding. Where's your office? I was like, I don't even have office, right? I was like, come to Panera. Come to Panera. I see, here's the thing. I don't know why people showed up for Panera. Today, if somebody says show up at Panera, this is my office, I wouldn't. But people still showed up. And I recruited 17 students by showing my slides in Panera. And at the end, if they didn't believe, I mean, they know with my broken English, like my appearance, right? They know I'm freaking immigrant or refugee. I showed them my paycheck. I was like, look at my paycheck. They're looking at my paycheck. Okay, I want to try. I want to give a shot. So we started with 17 students. And the thing is, I think what made us successful was because of my difficult experience, right? And everybody looked at me, I was like, okay, if this guy could do it, of course I can do it, right? And plus, I think our genuine feeling of changing people's life, because I think low income is very difficult situation to handle. If you cannot pay your rent, it's a very difficult situation to handle. There are lots of people like me. They're displaced. Maybe they're a refugee like me. Maybe they're immigrant. Maybe they were a doctor back home. Now in the United States, it doesn't work anymore. Maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they studied music, couldn't become Justin Bieber. Now they're going to play guitar in the metro, what they're going to do, right? I think people looking for a second chance in their life became our main target audience. I think the genuine story of me and my how I changed my life really resonated with many people. So now with 2 people started, we have around 300 employees in few countries, and 34 countries we have students, and they're learning programming and changing their lives. That's kind of the story that I wanted to share today with your audience.
That's crazy how you went from that to being able to be a CEO of a company, and you actually have like a real good reason as behind like why you decided to do it. Like you realize how well learning tech can kind of elevate your life, and like as far as salary and stuff like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about your programs at CYDEO?
Yeah, I mean, we do have programs. We have Java developer program, for example, right? So one of the things I want to talk about is, about, let me change the structure of the answer real quick, right? I'm just thinking in my mind. Okay, I think we should start with higher education, right? Higher education, it takes 4 years. I'm really thankful to God that I didn't have higher education. I would prefer to have a college degree. But if I had college degree, I wouldn't understand the problem and the pain of people like me, right? So maybe they couldn't attend college. Maybe they studied history, and nobody wanted to pay for their skills, right? So you studied PhD in history. What are you going to do? Telling stories in the Smithsonian Museum, right? So it's just like hard for them. So I think that is one of my advantage. My disadvantage become my advantage. So one side, you have 4 years degree, and no time in the US history or human history that people call it like questioning whether if 4 years degree is like worth it or not, right? You're studying audit. By the time you graduated, the things that you learned is already outdated, especially in the AI driven market. So this is one alternative for people. Another alternative could be coding bootcamp, right? But the problem with the coding bootcamp, that what I've realized is, because it's bootcamp and because lots of coding bootcamps are VC backed, what does that mean is when you venture backed companies, like literally return on investment, or how do you call an exit, is their top priority, probably going for IPO. So that's why they have to grow their base and make it profitable. Make it profitable means that it has to be faster. In, student out. So most of the boot camps are 12 weeks, right? So you guys know, everybody's coding here. If you want to become from somebody who doesn't know coding at all, and in 12 weeks you want to land an IT job with 6-figure salary, and you tell me how realistic is that? I mean, I feel like 5% of this population who's learning coding, maybe they're genius, okay? They have photographic memory. It's fine. But I'm talking about people like me, 95%. So literally 6 months, 12 weeks is not enough time for people to become competent to get a job and be successful at job. Therefore, we have programs that we don't have program for 12 weeks, right? For example, Java developer program. It's a backend program that we design. It's very solid. We're thinking at least 20 to 30 hours per week minimum study time for 10 months. So they become a junior Java developer. So these are the programs that we have. Cybersecurity program, for example, it's at least 6 months program. So these are the programs that we have. We don't have lots of programs. We do have a few programs like Salesforce, Java developer, and cybersecurity. I think the goal was, how do we do less things and achieve more result? It means that we have to focus and refine the existing program to design, not to just give people a certificate of completion, you have done this program. I'm very happy for you. Now you can, on your LinkedIn, you can say, I know coding. That is not a good return of investment. That is the exact same trap with the college degree. You study 4 years, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in the graduation ceremony, you go to the stage, you take some nice picture, you throw your hat. What happens next day? People are applying jobs in McDonald's. Like, what the hell is that, right? So we didn't want to get into the same kind of value proposition with the colleges, like you get certification of completion. Like, really, our number one focus is, if somebody invests their time and money and resources to study, they should get a job that will pay them. Because for me, I'm looking at every student's like Kuzzat in 2011, struggling to pay rent, struggling to provide a good life for their family. I look at IT as a vehicle. I mean, nobody, I think, when they're a kid, they have aspiration, they look at the mirror. When I grow up, I want to be a developer. I mean, come on, like, who says that, right? So developer is a good thing, right? But that's not the purpose of life. If somebody says developer is purpose, well, I literally question. But the thing is, I feel like IT or development or learn coding or all the technical competency we develop is a vehicle to build better life for ourselves and for the society. So if that's the vehicle, the destination is important than the vehicle itself. Therefore, the destination is better life through education. It means it's measured by you get a good job, good income, or in the future, you start your own business. That is kind of the thing that we focus in CYDEO. That's why our program is much, much longer, much, much intense. That's how it works.
So going off that last point you made, I do agree that, I mean, I used to tutor people back when I went to college because I did do a 4-year computer science degree. And sometimes some concepts, like, people would take weeks to understand. Like, I was trying to teach them variables and arrays, and like it literally took them like weeks to understand a simple concept. And I do think a lot of people try to sell this idea that you can learn how to code like within a couple of weeks, like you said, like a 12-week program. So going off of what you're saying about your courses being almost 10 months, almost a year, like that's the realistic amount of time that it'll take to even become like somewhat proficient at using a language. And you have to invest a ton of time and work to like get to that point. So I definitely agree with you on that.
No, we were designing this program, and we have this program manager developing this program. And he initially said, at least 1 year. Okay. I was like, hey, bro, listen, we're competing in 12 weeks market. Like, what the hell you want? We cannot do like a year, because it's very hard to make people like everybody. The problem is in a coding bootcamp or this kind of industry is people, it's like a black box, right? They only look at the box and they don't know what is inside, right? So people getting into coding, they don't understand. It takes time to develop that. In one side, you only see a cheaper option, or you only see it's faster. And there's a reason that Become Rich scheme is very successful throughout entire human history, right? If you say become rich, and everybody will invest, right? Like cryptos, all crazy, NFTs, all crazy stuff is happening. So people need instant return. I think that's the problem with today's society. Look at TikTok, look at all these things. It's all about instant gratification. I want result now. Where this year I started planting tomatoes. It takes you like 4 months to get your tomato, man. Even getting a tomato, like, you have to be very patient. You cannot plant today and get it tomorrow. So I think for that reason, that the program is designed a little bit longer, and it takes time to understand and become competent, and also able to get a job. Means that employability is the measurement. If you quickly finish the thing and you get a certification and brush up your or resume and LinkedIn, if you randomly apply for 1,000 jobs, I think you will get it. But the problem is able to keep your job and able to be successful. It requires lots of effort. When people come to our intro session, we talk about it. We say, hey, listen, guys, if you can't spend at least 30 hours a week for the next 10 months, this is not realistic. We're talking about like becoming a backend developer, from scratch, right? We have lots of students that are, for example, a full-time mom. Their kids start going to school, so now they're like, I need to get back to the society. I need to get him, start making some income. So these are our, audience. So we had to build a program that is solid, that will give them a good, understanding of coding and programming and building application. It's not only coding as well, but the thing is, at the same time, they need to understand the process. The coding part, I would say, is 60%. The 40% part is the process, how software development works in the team, what kind of people you're interacting with, what kind of stakeholders you're interacting with. Starting from that to office politics, people need to learn to be employable. I think these are the things that colleges, I'm not throwing them under the bus, but I think if you look at amount of people graduating college and their income ratio and their employability in the day one of job readiness, you can say it is questionable. In other side, you have 3 months, like 12 weeks coding, doing very fast. I think this 6 to 12 months time frame is something reasonable. It's not as long as college. It's not as expensive as college, but it's not as unrealistic as 3 months. I think this is a sweet spot that we kind of figured out in past 8 years of helping maybe 10,000 students.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like, to speak about my college days, I feel like a lot of the stuff I learned in college, like you learn about building a compiler, you learn about like really weird discrete mathematics. And it's like, does this actually translate to the job? And it turns out that when I got my first job, I was actually kind of mad that I spent 4 years learning something and like I was not ready for the job that I was hired for, right? They don't teach you GitHub. They don't teach you version control. They don't teach you much of anything. They don't teach you about how like the actual process works. Like they gloss over waterfall and agile a little bit in college, but I think having a more concentrated boot camp that really helps you learn like what you're going to see your first day of your job would be much more beneficial. And I worked with people who went to a boot camp and they're actually really, really good at coding, right? I have a couple people at my current job who graduated from a boot camp and you wouldn't even tell a difference between like, were they self-taught, were they boot camp, or were they going to college? Because from my perspective, college doesn't really teach you the things that help you on the job.
Our students are promoted as a tech lead less than a year and increase their salary. And I think one of the reason is, let me like put it in this way, right? I think college, first of all, I think the purpose of college is not getting people a job, generally in the United States. And I cannot say, Ivy League colleges are for successful, like very elite group of people that they're fine, but I'm talking about the majority. We have lots of students right now that is attending college and come to CYDEO, or graduate from college and come to CYDEO. And why not just come here in the beginning, right? So this is like, for example, I'm going to give you a real example. My son, he's 16, he's going to be 16, right? And we put him in our own coding bootcamp for the adults. We kind of made it a little bit a different version for my son to learn for a group of teenagers. And he graduated from that program after 6 months. And like, if he's getting A minus, like in a school, it means he didn't care about it. Like, generally an A+ kid, right? One day he said, Dad, I don't want to go to school. I was like, why? He literally said, my teachers are wasting my time. Literally, I was like, I sounds a little bit arrogant from outside, but I know my son. This guy reads lots of books and he learns coding as well. So I kind of like, I've had the same feeling when I was in school as well in China. So I said, okay, son, like, why don't we do this? I had a conversation with him. So we decided we'd pull him up from high school, and he's going to do homeschool for the high school. That's one part. The second part is I want him to learn for the first year solid backend development. And after that, probably he's going to get some UI training as well. We have cybersecurity. I want him to learn that as well. Or mainly, I think, starting from the second year of he's studying in CYDEO, I want him to learn machine learning and AI, because I think that's the future. And I'm 39, he's like 16. He can learn anything. For me, it's like I'm slow now, right? So that kind of changing my perspective in higher education in general. Imagine you go to college for 4 years, okay? 4 years it's, let's say, even if it's free, 4 years is a lot of time in your life. And what's happening with college is it's a very generalized education that I kind of, like, the analogy would be, you learned how to become 20% Iron Man, 20% Spider-Man, 20% Superman, another 20% Wonder Woman, for example. At the end of the day, you're not one thing. You're a little bit of everything, right? So that's the problem with college, that they have to put lots of things to fill that 4 years. But if the outcome is reverse engineered by a specific position that you want to have, if you want to become Iron Man, it doesn't take 4 years, because that's the only goal you have. You don't learn everything, but you learn everything to become Iron Man. That means that it's very precise, it's very effective. So I think that's the reason that I took my own son out of a high school program doing homeschool, and then I don't want him to go to college. He said, Dad, I don't want to go to college. And now he's going to be, probably by the age of 19, he will have like 3 years experience learning coding and working in a software project, while 23 years old, graduating from college with fresh diploma. Like, if somebody, one of the things is this, right? Whether you're Harvard or MIT, I think once you graduate, the first time you're looking for a job, I think a degree really matters. But a second time you're looking for a job, I think the most important thing in your resume is not your degree. It's what did you do in your previous project. That is the defining factor for your employability. I think if that's the trend, and if you look at recently the HBR article I can share with you, was saying that a LinkedIn CEO is saying that many companies, they literally ditched the college degree requirement. They're like, okay, like these people are learning everything, but not good at one thing. But we're looking for software developers. We're looking for machine learning engineers. We're looking for data scientists. We're looking for front-end developers. We're looking for cybersecurity engineers, but we're not looking for everything. Like, you cannot have a person that does all things. So because colleges are not doing really well on this, they started accepting lots of bootcamp students. I think in terms of return on investment in short period of time, not 3 weeks or 12 weeks, not 4 years, but this is like a 1 year program could be a very realistic place for people to get into IT.
Definitely agree. I did have a question. You mentioned something. So a lot of people, at least in my Discord channel and like my YouTube subscribers, they may know how to code, but they're having a lot of issues actually getting interviews, right? I've had people apply to 100 places and they never actually get pulled into an interview, although they know how to code. I've seen them they send me their projects and I see their code and they know how to do it. What is your program doing to potentially help your graduates link up with real companies so that they can actually get those interviews? Or what would you advise people who are like self-taught? What's the best thing you can do so people actually look at your resume and like try to give you a chance?
I think recently we made a video about why your resume is invisible. I think we're going to publish on our YouTube channel soon. But I think if people, their resume is not getting seen at all, it could be just keyword. Could be many things. But come down to our program, I cannot generalize. Come down to our program, how do we help people, right? Also, people, their number one question is, do you have relationship with the companies that you can place us, right? I think relationship is important. But imagine you're getting hired because of your dad's relationship with the places. That means that probably your competency was not there. So if you really are competent, if you're really competent on a certain skill set, I mean, you don't need relationship. If after 10 months of education, still I have to take your resume and submit somewhere, oh, please take this guy, what I'm teaching here? right? So people are really, really sharp. If they're competent, you don't really need relationship or somebody else from the back door send your resume. You're employable from day one. People will grab you. They will like fight for you. You will get multiple offers and you will choose from those offers, right? How do we do that? One of the things that I think lots of people don't understand is, oh, as soon as I'm super good at coding, I'm going to get a job. The problem is this, right? I don't think coding is as difficult as colonizing Mars, okay? Therefore, people can learn. It's not a rocket science, right? Therefore, when people hiring people for their team members, one of the most important thing is this. I'm married for 20 years. I have 4 kids. If you ask me, what do you want most in life? I think the most important thing for me is to be able to spend more time with my family, okay? Now, how much time I spend with my family? Less than 40 hours a week, like productive time with my family is like having quality time. I have some freaking colleagues here. We spend 40, 50 hours together every week, right? So that means that we spend more time interacting with our colleagues than our family. It means that first of all, I have to trust you. Second, I have to like you. Doesn't matter how good you are. There are many genius people. Unless you're freaking some crazy guy who can hack the China out of their thing. I mean, it's not important. Like, I think it's 50-50. Your technical competency and your interpersonal competency, your soft skills as well. So sometimes I also, like, throughout our like 8 years experience, I can tell you, technically less competent, but more like interpersonal skills and soft skills, these people get a job. And if 50-50, they still get job. If their coding are really good and their soft skills are really bad, these people will not get job. So I'm not saying if you didn't get job, it means that you don't know how to communicate. I'm just saying it is very important. So how do we do that? I think one of the most important thing we do is we have something called industry mentors, okay? And from day one, we prepare people to get a job. So interview practice starts from day one. You know, how do you communicate? How do you answer certain questions? Starting from tell me about yourself to all those questions that they're going to answer in the Zoom interviews, right? Like, if it was like old days, you're subjected to exam, you take exam, and based on your score, you're employed. I think technical people will get all the jobs. But right now, it's all about, like, you go into interview, panel interview, multiple people interview you. Every single stakeholder, they need to say yes to you. The problem is a director of software development has different expectation than a senior lead developer, than the quality assurance manager, than the product owner. So you, as a person looking for a job, need to understand, if you have the same value proposition for director of software development to the quality assurance manager, you're not going to be able to get that offer. So able to understand what each stakeholders need from you, what's their expectation, and giving the answer from their perspective. And now you're giving everybody the candy they want. Not everyone wants strawberry ice cream. Everyone has different expectation. So these are the things that we do. So from day one, we have industry mentors that are coming in every week, and we're doing case studies, right? How do I do this certain project at work? How do we implement, right? How do we deal with our managers, our colleagues, right? Different departments, all the stuff. So I would say 50% of the knowledge literally is pure coding, and the rest of the 50% is how do I work in this environment? So if you have this both, you're going to get a job faster. But we cannot generalize, right? Maybe there's some coding genius, like they're just going to get offer, but I'm talking about 95% people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think sometimes I've done interviews with my company, and usually it boils down to, like, do I just like the person? Like, do I think they'll be a good fit for this position? Do they seem like they're a good teammate? Will they collaborate? The technical side of things isn't that important unless you're like trying to get like a really technical position. Then that's when I think it's a lot more important to like know all this stuff. But for like a junior interview position, just showing that you're like confident and you're able to learn, I think those are much more important skills that you kind of mentioned on. So on my channel, I do a lot of JavaScript related stuff. How would you say that the job market is for like Java? I've kind of been out of the loop with Java, but I do know a lot of jobs still kind of exist for Java.
I think, I mean, my experience with Java is, first of all, I I cannot be hypocritical. Hypocritical. I don't know Java myself. The thing I've learned was SQL and VBScript, things like that, very basic stuff. But I would say it really helped. It's like installing a higher version of operating system to my thought structure. So I think it really helped me on running business and kind of having a better life through learning coding. That's a different part. But I don't know Java myself. But later on, we realized that, you know, picking up a programming language and becoming competent on that thing is should be our business strategy. So out of when we did our research back then, Java, it was the most used enterprise level language that they build applications, right? So now, like all the banking system, insurance systems, you know, airlines, everything they were building based on Java. You know, when people, one of the problem with industry is, I think, generalization of what does that mean of IT companies. Like 10 years ago, if you ask people, 10 years ago, if you ask people, what is IT company? What are the IT companies, right? They literally count you the FANG companies, right? Facebook, Amazon, you know, Apple, Google, Netflix, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is this, there's no tech companies anymore. Like every company is a tech-enabled company. When was the last time you went to bank? You don't. Now they became fintech all of a sudden, right? You do all the transaction on your phone, right? Now they spend more resources on software development, application development, and infrastructure and platform development than the physical store itself. And that is with automobile industry now, right? Automobiles, they came to the level that you cannot improve. Now, what are you going to do? Like iPhone, you're going to put another wheel? Like you have one camera, two camera, three cameras. Now you want to put 6 wheels for your car? Well, what else you can do to mechanically improve your car? You cannot. Now, the next level of autonomous driving, the next level is user experience. That comes from application development. Therefore, I think in today's landscape, there's no IT companies. Every company is IT companies. And when you look at those unattractive IT companies to work for, let's say Ford is not an IT company. If you work for Ford as an application developer, probably you have to use Java, for example, right? So Java is, I believe, one of the most used application development, programming language. That's one thing. The second thing is, because it's object-oriented programming, I feel like, you know, if you learn Java, it's like you're getting a commercial driver license. You're learning how to drive a school bus. And after you're getting a school bus, I mean, it's easy to imagine you have a school bus driver license, right? Or you can drive a truck. And if somebody says, can you drive this Porsche? Are you going to say, oh, I don't have experience, I don't know how to do? I mean, if you can drive a truck, you can drive any car. So I feel like once you learn Java, learning JavaScript, learning Python, it just becomes like much, much easier. But other than that, I think there's always jobs for Python, JavaScript, and Java. I don't think there's less jobs. There is ever increasing market.
A lot of people on social media and Twitter, like all they see is JavaScript posts and TypeScript posts. But in reality, what Kuzzat's talking about, even the company I work for, we try to bid on government projects, and a majority of these government projects require Java on the back end. So there's still a huge industry that's not really talked about with, like, you know, all the hype on YouTube and Twitter. So learning these different languages does help you. It does translate well for other things. I had a question. So the students who take your curriculums, what would you say some of the top 3 qualities of the successful students? Like, what would you need to come into the curriculum to feel like you can be super successful?
I think one of the most important thing that we're looking for, I think it's not about this IT program. I think if you want to be a successful person, you need to be a decent, genuine human being. And there are people, they just don't have that quality. So it doesn't matter which industry you are, you're not going to make it, right? So most successful people that I know in life are very decent people. So I think that is taken for most of our students. And besides that, what is most important is this. I mean, this is not rocket science. I think there's a strong correlation between how much time that you can dedicate per week for consistent amount of time not 1 month, not 2 months, let's say 7 months, 8 months, 10 months. If you can do it consistently, then you're fine. You just have to do the work. So I would say if you can commit 30 hours per week for 7 to 10 months, you're going to get a job. Otherwise, if you say like, it's just like literally like a workout. You can go to the most expensive gym, hire the most amazing trainer, and you can literally watch that guy, working out and showing you all the things. If you don't do the workout yourself, you will never gain the muscle. The problem is lots of people, they work out really hard for 2 hours and they go to the locker room, they look at the mirror, the same skinny guy. And they're like, oh, you know what? I'm not gaining muscle, so I'm not going to do it. It's not about that. You have to compare your first month's like first day picture with day 180, that you will see the difference. I think one of the most important things is consistency and 30 hours per week consistency. If you can't do that, I don't recommend for anyone. That's kind of thing. Other than that, I don't think there's any secret recipe or anything. We have lots of moms doing our program, like with 3 kids, 4 kids. They've never worked in the IT, maybe some of them never worked in anywhere, and now they're getting job in a company. It's just like anyone can do it if you put the effort.
And would you say that the curriculums are for people who have literally no background in coding, or do you expect like a little bit of, some problem solving? You can like do some basic,
so
you know what I'm saying?
So I used to teach myself, and our problem is not with the people who don't know anything. Our problem with people know too much, because if you learn things a certain way, you have to unlearn a lot of things that you've learned the wrong way. So I would rather have a piece of white paper to write something on top, instead of a piece of paper that everything is full, it's already written. I have to erase everything and write it again, right? So it's a double process. So 95% of our students have never coded before. And one of the most important reason is I felt like, it's easy to make people successful if they graduate from computer science background, would have sophisticated background. And I cannot claim that credit. But if we can take a refugee who's speaking a broken English with high school diploma, or we can take a person as Uber or DoorDash driver, if we can take a stay-home mom and make that person successful in less than a year, I feel accomplished myself. Therefore, our target audience is somebody who doesn't know anything. If you speak English, that's because everything is based on English. And if you have how do you call it? What kind of background we're looking for? We're looking for hardworking background. If you can commit 30 hours per week, and we would rather get people don't have any background than people with the background. I know you lots of your students, like in your channel, they have some coding background, but the thing is, we teach from the very, very basics.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I think sometimes like as you've been in the industry for a long time, you start getting disconnected with like how hard is it to learn how to code? And like even me, when I start making more and more videos, I get further and further away from like the beginner who might be struggling learning how to do basic syntax versus the videos I'm producing is like it just keeps getting more advanced. So I think it's good to realign who you're trying to teach, like who's your audience. And so that's great that you are helping just people who are like moms learn how to code, who have like very little background in coding.
But one of the things we did is this, right? For people have like OOP background or Java or C#, we put together like kind of pre-work videos, and they're going to go through and refresh their knowledge. So there's prerequisite, right? And we put together another program for 7 months. It's like 10, 15 hours per week. And we call it the Accelerated Java Developer Program. And because they already have some background, but that is like only one of our program that we designed for our alumni that who want to upskill, or we design for the people have certain backgrounds and that they want to move up, especially they want to get a job, because used to be they've learned coding here and there, they tried in their LinkedIn, things like that, and they couldn't do it. So now it's literally we put together a program for the 7 months, but it requires like 10, 15 hours per week for 7 months with some coding prerequisite. That's the only one program that we're talking about, Accelerated Java Developer Program. Even our accelerated program is 7 months.
It's funny. Accelerated is still like more than half a year, but that's good. I had a question about costs. So like I know a lot of boot camps, they require like a 20,000 payment upfront and stuff. Do you offer reduced prices for people who are really struggling? Like you mentioned, like you came from a struggling background and you're thinking about how to, feed your family or just get food on the table every week. Are there payment plans or something that helps that situation?
First of all, I think there could be $20,000, $15,000, or also there are boot camps, doing ISA. I heard that they're paying up to $30,000 to $50,000 in ISA, right? So one of the things that I can say is we provide lots of scholarship because I didn't want to have those people really, really struggling just because they didn't have money, they couldn't take the program. So we do have scholarships, and we provided millions of dollars of scholarships in past few years for hundreds of people, maybe more than 1,000. They changed their life, and like that's something that I'm really proud of our team. In terms of payment structure, we do for the U.S. residents, we do 0% interest program, so they don't pay any loan, like they don't pay any interest. It's very affordable, very low monthly payment options as well. Our program is generally, imagine our program is probably 3-4 times amount of knowledge that you have to consume to be employable, and it's much longer, much intense, much more customer service when you need support from our team. Also, probably half of the tuition of that you would pay, for traditional bootcamp. For example, one of the thing is, let's say Java developer program, right, from zero to hero, it's 7,880. So that can be break into a monthly payment, or you can get a student loan that is very affordable with a zero interest program. So that's what we do. I think, providing lots of information, much longer service, much intense program with much more customer support, and also doing a half tuition of a general boot camps or doing 12 weeks, I think there's lots of value in it.
Okay. And speaking of the Java developer program, do you mind if I share my screen so we can kind of just let the viewers know which program you're talking about? So this is the CYDEO website, and go to programs.
Go all
And
the
I,
way down. It's
is
yes,
this,
that's the one on the right. Yeah, that's Java developer program.
yeah. So for this program, is there like like an intro session or something to kind of like be able to talk to your team and like figure out like what's going to be taught, or is it just you just sign up and you get what you get?
No, I mean they can. There's a register for intro session button in the bottom, so they can literally sign up from there,
Okay.
and we will reach out to them and have intros. So we will have alumni coming, talking, sharing their experience. We will have our industry mentors coming. We have our instructors coming. So if when they have question, they can literally ask from there.
Okay. Awesome. And this is this like a 1 hour, 1 to 2 hour thing?
Yeah, the thing is this, right? Lots of people they really want to have a PDF book. We do have PDF book they can sign, right? Well, lots of people want to learn if they're going to change their life in 15 minutes, right? Like we're talking about taking people who have no job or working in different environment, let's say driving DoorDash, to start working for a tech companies with 6-figure salary or close to 6-figure salary, at least in second year. It requires lots of steps. It is a long process. So in order to explain what they're getting into, what kind of commitment is needed, what they're going to learn, what kind of support they're going to get, it's going to at least take 1 hour. People like sometimes they complain, why is so long? Like, how I'm supposed to explain this thing to you, right? So generally our intro session goes 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So they should have a right expectation. But I think it's worth it because even a movie that you can watch for 1.5 hours, but it's not going to change your life. But if you really want to have a different direction in your life, I think 1.5 hours, show up in a place, listen to it, and see what's this program offers, right? At least it's going to give you a foundation when you go to different intro session for different programs. When you have, let's say, there's a VC-backed bigger organizations that are way more known. They spend millions of dollars on Facebook marketing that I don't spend. So they're known, right? Then show up to them. Then you have a reference point. What these people are saying, what these people saying, put together, and it's going to give you a good amount of information to make a good decision for your future.
Yeah, it's funny because like you mentioned people kind of complaining about having to sit through an hour. I have people who complain when my YouTube videos are like 15 minutes long. Like they're saying this is too long, like you need to shorten it. And it's kind of a scary thing that the attention span of everyone is just being reduced. Like every year it seems like it's getting worse. But if you want to actually progress your life, you got to put in the hard work and you got to invest time. So I definitely agree on that aspect. 1 hour or 2 hours of an intro could potentially change your life, right?
Yeah, I think when the society, unfortunately, when TikTok destroys a generation of train your brain to be able to only focus on 15-second, 20-second, or a minute, so you have to move on to the next thing. So you keep getting dopamine. Your brain is wired that way, right? You know what? In that environment, when millions of people, when the entire generation become like this, I think it's also or is going to become your competitive advantage if you can learn how to sit through 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours for a consistent amount of time to change your life, because everybody else is not doing it and you're the one doing it. I think that's a great opportunity for you. That's why, anyway, I don't want to get into politics, but I hope TikTok will be banned one day in the US. But I hope I don't get like punished by your, like canceled by your audience. But the thing is, I genuinely believe that the social media or this instant gratification stuff is wiring our brain in a way that is not productive to the society at all. We need time, we need effort, we need to work to be successful, and that requires, attention span, focus for, period of time.
Definitely agree. Although I use TikTok sometimes, I do find some really funny videos on there, but I do think when you get into the habit of just keep on scrolling, it can kind of start messing with your mentality. All right. So I think that kind of wraps up all the questions that I have. Is there any, final comments that you have about CYDEO or just learning how to get into the industry in general?
I think I was just reflecting on you and my conversation. You have a YouTube channel and you're providing lots of values and people are learning coding from you. The reflection I had is, it's been 8 years. I'm in this journey and we're working extremely hard. Sometimes I work 7 days a week for many, many months without taking off. And at some point, because of, I'm kind of getting older with my kids and, they're becoming adult, and I start reflecting again, the purpose of life, all these things. And sometimes I feel like, you know what? I spent so much at this company. We spent so much effort, dedication, commitment to change people's life through tech education. And I feel like if we were doing a gambling program or a gaming program or something that literally wastes people's time, because that's what most people consume, we probably would be building a billion-dollar company already, right? Just because you want to teach some people legitimate skills and legitimate return of investment, and it takes time. It's good for the society, and because it's education, it's difficult, and it's really not like you don't get as much result as if you're opening a casino, right? So I was like, oh man, our job is difficult. At the same time, I'm looking at you as well. I feel like you are also educating people instead of having a coding YouTube channel. Imagine that you have a one that teaching people Minecraft, all this stuff. Probably will have way more followers or way more income generated by YouTube, but you choose to teach people a legitimate skills that they can build something amazing, build a better life for themselves. So I think that's kind of our job for you and us. It's a difficult job, but I think it's the right thing to do. And I think your audience are very lucky, those few percent people in YouTube. Because imagine if I don't know how many users that YouTube have, let's say a billion user. And I think absolute majority, because of their recommendation engine, when they log into, like when they open their app, just pay attention. What is recommended to you? What are the things that are recommended to you? It's what you're interested. Is this like a makeup? Is this like game? Is this something that like really doesn't add lots of value to your life? That's the question. But if YouTube is suggesting videos of Cody to you means that you're that few percent people when everybody else want to watch miscellaneous stuff and waste their time. And there are few percent people really taking this opportunity, using this time, which is the most important, most expensive currency in life is time. That they're spending their time in your channel, or they're spending time watching us, or they're spending time build better future for their family. I think these are very less percentage of people on YouTube, but I think they are lucky people because I believe that they're doing the right thing. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I want to say hi to your audience. Very nice to meet you guys. It's my honor to be here with you today.
Thank you so much. And I'll put the link to CYDEO in the description of the video. Is there any other links that you like people to know about that I could put in the description? Or
I mean, check it out, our YouTube channels. We're adding more and more soft skill videos, interview videos as well on our Instagram, YouTube. I hope that you can put that in our ID in there.
yeah, I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel, to be honest. I didn't even look into that. Do you have like free educational content there?
So our YouTube channels, like we just started wrapping up in the past few months. We started putting some content in there. It's just CYDEO in YouTube. So we're adding more and more useful stuff that will help people to get a job or go to interview. Our YouTube strategy is literally just be useful, just like you. We just want to put useful stuff, not advertisement, not, buy me kind of thing. So we're working on it. We do have a YouTube channel.
Okay, well, I wish you the best of luck, because it is, as you might know, it's quite a grind to start getting people to even view your content. Like, I think it took over 2-3 years of me just publishing videos until I got any traction whatsoever.
I think you have to put like 300 videos without any expectation.
Yeah, just get stuff out there, hone your craft, and at some point you'll hit that sweet spot and people just start watching your stuff.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with me. Be sure to check out CYDEO, and thank you so much, Kuzzat, for joining.
Thank you so much, Cody. Amazing conversation. Thank you.
Have a good day, y'all.
Take care.